That's a great entry song. So first off, I have to do what every boy does when he gets on a big stage and say, "Hi, Mom." Thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate the kind words and another from the heart. Thank you. As you may know, it is tradition for the incoming board president to make a speech detailing the vision and future of our association. Not today. Today, I would like to take a different path. And to help me out, I have a couple of props. Scissors. Should not run with these. And $100. This week at our conference, we have focused a lot on Next Generation 911 and what's needed going forward. The training, technology, policies, procedures, and so much more. If there's one thing I've learned about Next Generation 911, it's this. NG 911 is not some single plan that we could just implement. It's not a procurement that we can execute. And it's definitely not some project with a definitive starting point that we can get to completion. NG, Next Generation 911, is a process. It's ever evolving. It's always moving. It's always continually adapting in response to the newest advances in technology. It is about change, and change is happening very fast. We have crossed the event horizon of Next Generation 911. We have seen voice-activated, hands-free, artificial intelligence phone calls to 911 from Siri, machine-to-machine communications, text to 911, IoT or Internet of Things connections, and other operational issues as well, such as the new hands-only CPR protocols for telecommunicators and naloxone for our first responders. And so many more things are coming. These are all very real challenges and opportunities. But we must remember there is a human element in all of this. As our emergency communication centers change and adapt, we must have trained and dedicated people in the seats. And we know that staffing comm centers today is very difficult. The pay isn't great, the job is very demanding, especially with new types of data, interfaces, protocols, CAD systems, 911 systems, records management systems, and that list goes on and on and on. All of these things, coupled with an ever-increasing public expectation of our emergency services, can leave us overwhelmed. Think about this. If we are struggling today, what are we going to do in 5 years? What kind of person do we want to hire 5 years from today in this ever-changing ecosystem? Well, we need superheroes, right? We need superheroes that can process life and death decisions every second, perform data analytics on the big picture, manage absolute chaos, and do it all on an 8-hour bladder. So again, what kind of person do we want in 5 years? Or what kind of comm center do we want in 5 years? What kind of environment do we want for our coworkers in 5 years? But more importantly, what kind of culture do we want in 5 years? And that brings me to my first point. Don't freak out. Every process in the deployment of Next Generation 911 comes with a price. That price can be in the time and effort put forth in the public sector doing research and development, time and effort put forth in our committees and working groups developing those new standards, time and effort put forth in the boardroom discerning those next best practices and best ways to move forward with projects, and of course, time in the comm center defining those new best practices. That price can also be in capital, such as investing in those new systems, automating those old workflows, and maybe integrating additional data connections. That price in time, effort, and capital is to ensure that we are meeting the needs of our clients and our citizens today and in the future. But every process also comes at a cost. I believe that cost is in people. Since the beginning of this conference, over 2 million people have called 911 in the United States and Canada. That is 20,000 911 calls since you picked up your lunch plate in the foyer. For most of them, calling 911 was a brand new experience, maybe the only time in their life that they'll do it. Each of those calls was an opportunity for us to improve our call answer times, to improve the policies and procedures that we put on the shelf 5 years ago and forgot about, to improve our relationships with our responders, to improve integration with CAD, 911, and the systems we talked about earlier, to improve our attitudes, because we don't have those in the comm center, and to improve our expectations of ourselves. When we ask folks on the front line, what is the one thing you want to change about 911 most, the resounding anthem was location accuracy. Every year, 10,000 people die due to location inaccuracy. Now that's just a statistic. It's very ethereal. It's very difficult for us to understand what 10,000 people looks like. So I want you to take a moment. I want you to make eye contact with everyone at your table. That number represents one person dying from location inaccuracy at each and every table every week. That means that somebody over here at table 41 called 911 and we couldn't find them this week and they perished. And that means someone back here at table 105 called 911 this week. We couldn't find them and they perished. Nathan, that means that Denise called 911 and we couldn't find her and she perished. And Miss Plush, that means Kyle called 911 and we couldn't find him and he perished. These are just one of the many areas that we, as the 911 industry, and we, as the 911 organization, are fighting to improve every single day. The price of implementing these life-saving solutions is quantifiable, but the cost of delaying these life-saving solutions is immeasurable. That means that there is a gap between the price of the paper and the cost of the person. How do we close that gap? Well, we can't do that with just money, okay? We can't do that. We can't close that gap with just innovation or new systems, new technologies. We can't close that gap definitely with passionate speeches, because we hear enough of those. However, we can close that gap with a culture of commitment. Whether you're behind the headset, identifying time-saving protocols to use on your next call, whether you're in the back room deploying that cost-saving solution, whether you're in the lab testing those new interconnections, whether you're in the administrative office trying to meet those ever-changing public expectations, or maybe you're in the boardroom and you're focused on that 5-year plan that's continually evolving. Wherever you are in 911, whatever you do in 911, and whatever your role is in 911, we must exemplify that culture of commitment. Commitment to our coworkers, commitment to our communities, and most importantly, commitment to our callers. We at NENA stand ready to help you fulfill those commitments today and tomorrow. From within each PSAP neighborhood, it's getting expensive, I'm going to have to cut this off. From within each PSAP neighborhood and throughout the entire NENA sister and brotherhood, we must grow a culture of commitment. And that responsibility lies on the shoulders of each and every one of us, from the back of the room to the person up here. No matter which way you cut it. Thank you.